All right, let's get into this. It's a really powerful story about two childhood friends from Fayetteville, North Carolina. They grew up with the exact same dream. I mean, the one big dream, making it to the NFL. But man, their journeys and where they ended up couldn't have been more different.
So on one side, you've got Scooter Wilson. He lived by a pretty simple code. Follow the plan. Walk by sight. What you see is what you get. But then, on the other side, you have his best friend, Elijah Cox. He chose a totally different path, the pivot. He was all about walking by faith. And this one single difference right here, it really sets the stage for everything that comes next. For years, their lives were just perfectly in sync. They grew up together, played on the same teams, and were both, local football legends. For them, football wasn't just a game, it was the plan. And when they both got accepted into Eastern University, it really seemed like their shared destiny was sealed. Like, this is it. And let's be super clear about this. For both of them, college was just a stop along the way. The real destination, the only one that mattered, was the National Football League. There was no plan B, no safety net. It was the whole shebang, all or nothing.
But then, a single piece of mail just changes everything. So, while he was visiting family in New Jersey, Elijah's mom and his aunt, they quietly applied to Rutgers on his behalf. And when that acceptance letter showed up, well, what used to be a straight line to the NFL suddenly had a massive fork in the road. So now Elijah is facing this huge decision, right? Does he stick with the plan, stick with his best friend at Eastern, or does he take this leap of faith and go down a totally different path at Rutgers? The moment he had to break the news to Scooter, that was the moment their shared journey just fractured.
4 little words. That's all it took. I'm going to Rutgers. And just like that, the lifelong plan they'd built together was just broken. I mean, Scooter tried to understand, of course, but that choice created this distance between them that would pretty much define the next 20 years of their lives. So Scooter, ever the planner, he sticks to the script. He goes to Eastern, he executes flawlessly. But over at Rutgers, Elijah starts to feel like the pressure of chasing the pros is kind of hollow. He realizes he's chasing a destination, not a purpose. And that little distinction, it changes everything. He walks away from it all to become a high school coach and mentor back home. Okay, so 5 years go by, and their two worlds just collide in this greasy spoon diner. Scooter walks in, fresh off being drafted by the LA Rams, and he is just radiating success. And Elijah's there, just a local high school coach. The contrast between them is immediate and it is stark.
Scooter, he doesn't hold back at all. His definition of success is crystal clear, and he's done it. It's all about the draft, the team, the money. To him, this is the finish line they were both running toward, and he was the one who crossed it.
And this is really where that core tension just boils over. Elijah starts talking about coaching, about helping kids, and Scooter just dismisses it. He's like, sight matters, results matter. He argues that tangible things, the money, the status, the stuff you can actually see, that's what truly matters. From his point of view, a life of purpose is basically meaningless if you don't have the paycheck to prove it.
Man, Scooter's words just hit so hard. They plunge Elijah into this deep, internal crisis. It's a moment of doubt that I think anyone who's ever taken an unconventional path can totally understand. You're following your calling, right? But you're faced with someone else's very tangible success, and you start to wonder if your faith just looks foolish while everyone else is out there winning.
Okay, let's fast forward 20 years. They run into each other again, this time at a sports bar. And it becomes very, very clear that time has been keeping a whole different kind of scoreboard. The reversal is just complete. I mean, at that 5-year mark in the diner, Scooter was the undisputed winner by every single conventional measure. But 25 years after their paths split, the picture has completely 180-degree flipped. And the results are just shocking. Scooter's NFL career, it got cut short by injuries. After all the taxes and expenses, he cleared less than $1 million. And now, he's asking Elijah for a job? Meanwhile, Elijah has built this incredible media and coaching empire that's worth over $10 million. He's not just successful, he's building a true legacy.
So the big question is, how did this happen, right? How did the guy who walked away from the money end up with all of it? Well, it wasn't an accident. It was a strategy, and it was built on one single powerful rule. Never, ever depend on just one income stream.
Elijah's whole approach was about stacking small wins. He started out with little speaking gigs and selling a few t-shirts. From there, he built a real community through a podcast, and that gave him the leverage he needed for major sponsorships. And then finally, he used that income to buy real estate, which created long-term stability for his entire mission.
And you know what? It started incredibly small. His first ever speaking event was in a room with folding chairs and probably terrible coffee. It earned him a check for just $500. That same night, he sold another $500 in some simple merchandise. Super humble beginnings, but it was proof that the idea could work.
But consistency, that's a superpower. As his confidence and his reputation grew, so did his fees. Pretty soon, just 2 paid speaking events a month were bringing in over $100,000 a year. See, he wasn't chasing money, he was solving problems for people, and the money just naturally followed.
And this is where that compounding effect really kicks into high gear. After a student suggested he start a podcast, he built this reliable, loyal following. He never went viral, he just kept showing up, consistently. And that reliability, that's what attracted sponsors who were willing to pay top dollar, eventually generating millions a year.
You see, each of his income streams had a specific job to do. The media and sponsors were there to scale his message to a way bigger audience. The real estate was there to stabilize the whole mission, making sure it could survive any kind of downturn. And the merch, that helped build and really solidify his community. It was a self-sustaining ecosystem built entirely on purpose.
So ultimately, this whole story forces us to kind of redefine what it even means to win. Scooter chased the spotlight, yeah, and he arrived first, but he ended up broken. Elijah followed his calling. He arrived later, sure, but he arrived whole.
And I think the ultimate takeaway here is this new definition of wealth. It's not about a number in a bank account. Real wealth is having control over your time, having consistency in your purpose, and having a calling that guides you. When those 3 things finally align, you've already won. And this is what Elijah finally explains to Scooter at the bar. He admits it. He says, look, for years, it looked like I was losing, but he trusted his path. And this is so crucial. He built systems around his purpose, a brand, a business, a community, all designed to make sure his mission would last long after he was gone. So we'll just leave you with this question to think about. It is so easy to get caught up chasing what looks good, what gets the applause, what society tells us is success. But this story really challenges us to ask a much harder question. Are you building something that just feeds your ego? Or are you building something that truly fulfills your calling?